Now I remember working during lockdown. It was a difficult time for everyone. Most people would stay away from the office and probably work from home or not work at all. Depending on what industry you worked in, you were probably working, like myself. Well, during the pandemic, we helped a lot of people recover from COVID-19. It was a scary time. The lockdown was a crazy time because there were so many restrictions that people had to follow. For example, no alcohol, no going outside. You were forced to be indoors, and if you were caught outside, you could get arrested. True story. Now for us at the hotel, it was even crazier. We couldn't operate how we usually would. We couldn't operate the restaurant. We couldn't sell liquor. We were only permitted to accept reservations. But these were intended for people that had to self-isolate. Because of the lockdown, we were not able to commute to work how we usually would. As a result, most employees like myself were required to live in the hotel. We were running on skeleton staff. I had to become a security. I had to become a receptionist. I became a chef. Heck, I even became a housekeeper. We provided services that we were not even assigned to do. Now, being security was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And the reason is the hotel never used to close. It was 24 hours, but somebody had to be at the reception. So what we did was work remotely. I would be able to work in my room and answer emails. However, if a guest called from the reception, alerting us that they would be checking in soon, I had to be on standby, no matter the time, and the hours were always crazy. Now remember, this was lockdown, so movement was very scarce. People would come at the most random times, and we're talking about 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 3 a.m., 6 a.m., times where people would usually be sleeping. But no, not the hotel. We were about 5 to 6 employees in the building, and we would usually rotate, operating with a schedule. So if it was your turn, you would have to attend the guest. Because remember, like I said, we all had several duties at this point. You were not just a receptionist. You were a security, you were a chef, and you were a housekeeper. You were a butler, basically. Unfortunately, this became a problem. We had to assign curfews, meaning that if we checked you in, you could only check out at 7 a.m. No one liked the curfew. The guests didn't like it, we didn't like it, and they always tried to enforce their own rules. However, before we could accept their business, we had to ensure that they understood the terms. It was not ideal, but we did provide discounted rates to try and compensate for the unusual restrictions. Because when you check in as a couple, you wouldn't want to just be restricted to your room. This was not just something we were enforcing. It was, after all, a lockdown. So most guests wouldn't understand the concept of what we were going through. As a result, some would fight, some would argue, heck, some would even try and demand their money back. But we were always careful to make sure that they understood what was going on at this time. The reason most people put up with it is because the options were limited in the area, so we were the only hotel operating in our area. Now the reason why I'm sharing the story today is because we had one guest who ended up fighting with us, and not just any regular guest. This person was a doctor. Now you would think, why would a doctor want to fight with a receptionist? Well, just for the reasons why I've stated before. He did not like the restrictions, even though he agreed to them before he checked in.